Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Janet, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. Give this video a like to let me know that you're liking my content, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, welcome back to my channel. I have a very exciting new recipe that actually I created. I'm so excited. I always get so excited when I create a recipe that turns out good. So this actually is going to work for either of your protein sparing modified fast days or definitely your keto days. I made it on my keto day, and I had it on my keto day because it was a little bit higher in fat. Definitely doable on your protein sparing modified fast days because it is made with the protein sparing modified fast bread. So the recipe that I used actually was one that I got off of the Ketogentic Woman's YouTube channel. I love her. She is a fellow Canadian. I will have her link down below to her YouTube channel, and she just celebrated 10,000 subscribers, so congratulations. And I absolutely love her recipe on the protein sparing modified fast bread. I feel like it's a total game changer for me, and it is the best recipe that I have tried. There is tons of variations out there, tons of recipes, as well as you can use the original, which Maria Emmerich has done. I will also have her website linked down below. She is the one that created this fabulous bread. But today I have made it into a sweet treat and a sweet dessert that you can have, and it is going to be monkey bread, or I like to call it cinnamon roll bread. So make sure that you stay tuned for that, and let me know how you are liking all these recipes and doing keto, or are you doing the protein sparing modified fast days as well, kind of implemented. As you guys know, I have lost over 100 pounds following the ketogenic diet. I hit my goal weight last August of 2020. Since then, I have gained approximately 20 pounds that I'm trying to lose, and I just needed to switch it up. I have tried the total carbs, the net carbs, the clean keto. I have tried absolutely everything this year that goes along with the keto diet, and it just didn't seem to stick. I don't know if it's because I am lower in weight and I don't have too many pounds to lose, but I really needed to switch things up, and that's why I implemented having 3 days of protein sparing modified fast days, as well as 3 keto days, and then on Sundays is always a keto refeed day for me, which technically is just higher calories and higher amounts of fat for that day. So hopefully you're joining me with this as well, too, staying on track. I know I am definitely staying on track. I am measuring, weighing, I am doing all the things to keep me on track, but I am so excited to share this recipe with you. So let's get started on our monkey bread, or like I like to call it, our cinnamon roll bread. So let's get started. All right, first we are going to start out by making our bread. So I have used a new bread recipe that I absolutely love. I got it from the Ketogentic Woman's YouTube channel, so make sure you check her channel. I will have that in the description. But that takes 1 cup of egg whites. Now I've been using egg whites. I tend not to use fresh egg whites. I always use carton, and they always turn out really good. And you will also need 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, and also 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. So I find that this gives a lot of flavor and makes it more bread-like when I did add this. So I feel like definitely adding the nutritional yeast is kind of a game changer for sure. Then what you will need to add is a 1/3 of a cup of egg white protein powder. Now I like this recipe because it does use a little bit less of the egg white protein powder. I find that when you use too much, whether it be like a full cup, it's just way too dry for me, and that is why this is my new favorite recipe for the bread. You can make all of your protein sparing modified fast bread with this recipe. Like I said, I'm making this with kind of like a sweeter recipe, making the monkey bread, and it turned out absolutely wonderful. So I definitely will be using this recipe just even for all of my protein sparing modified fast bread. So after that is in there, we are going to add a half of a teaspoon of xanthan gum. So another thing that I like about this recipe is it is all in one bowl. So even though this still does rise, it doesn't need to rise as much as your loaf of bread. So for your loaf of bread, I would definitely be just mixing your egg whites first, and then I would add all the dry ingredients together that you mixed in a bowl separately. I feel that it definitely is needed when you're making a loaf of bread. But for this recipe here, it works out just fine to mix absolutely everything in one bowl. So next we are going to add a teaspoon of the Swerve confectioner's sugar. And then we will also be adding a dash of salt. So definitely make sure that you're using the confectioner's sugar. If you're using like an actual granulated sugar, it won't have the same consistency. So just make sure that you're buying the confectioner's sugar, and that will work out best. And that is it. Later on, I'm not sure if I recorded it, but I did add a little bit of the active yeast, literally just a dash. I find that it once again just gives that flavor for overall a bread tasting. So I probably used about 1/8 of a teaspoon of the active yeast. And I did that actually later on when everything was all mixed up because I forgot to add that. That's the only difference that I use. So we're going to put that all into our mixer. All right, so I leave it in my mixer for, I would say, a good like 7 to 8 minutes. Sorry, this is a bad angle. My camera died, so I needed to use my iPhone because I did want to record this for you guys. But you just take literally all of the mixture that you have in the bowl, and I used a 9x9 glass pan. And what I did, I put a little bit of a spray on the bottom. I put parchment paper, and then I put another spray, a little bit of olive oil spray on the top. So that way you can just easily take the parchment paper right out of there, and which I will show you later on in the video, to cut it, the bread, so that you can put all of the goodness inside, the brown sugar and everything. So just make sure that there's no air pockets. Just make sure that you get all the corners filled and everything. And like I said, this isn't going to be as fluffy as the bread would be, like a loaf of bread, but definitely just make sure that you're getting it all down, making sure that it's all evenly spread so that you don't have any air pockets in the bread itself. So I preheated my oven to 325, and I will be leaving this bread just as is in the oven for 30 minutes is what I did. And then what you do is you turn off the oven, leave your bread in the oven with it off for another 10 minutes. So I will have this information linked in the description as well too, but I just wanted to tell you that as well. So make sure that all of your mixture is in there. As you can see, I took kind of a close-up. This is all a 9x9 pan. So I'm just getting ready for my little mixture, and on the outside of it, and this is what I will stuff inside of the bread. So I was at the bottom of this bag of Swerve brown sugar, but I ended up using 4 tablespoons of it. I was just at the bottom of the bag, so you can see me get the 4 tablespoons, and then I just dumped in whatever was left in the bag. But this amount worked out to be perfect for the whole entire loaf. So I just got that ready, and then kind of before I knew it, my bread was all done. So I stopped making the mixture and took the bread out of the oven. And then what you're going to do once you get it out of the oven, I transferred the parchment paper out of the 9x9 pan and I put it onto a cookie sheet, what you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. So I did that, which made it a lot easier to cut and then fill everything afterwards. It just gives you a little bit more room to work with. So you're going to cut the bread into a grid. So this is kind of like a pull away monkey bread, right? So that's what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to cut it in a grid vertically and horizontal so that it's like a decent size that you can kind of like pull away, right? So not all the way through. You're not going to cut it all the way to the very bottom, but about halfway through vertically and horizontal. So that is what I am doing here, and I realized at this point that I forgot to cut it the other way. I was going to put the butter on there, but then I forgot that I needed to cut it the other way as well. So I then cut it the other way so that I would have the grid pattern. And as you can see, I have butter off to the side, which I melted 1/4 cup. And I used half of that mixture first, and then I used half of the mixture at the very end on top. Now, what you could do as well is you can mix all of your ingredients together, the brown sugar with the butter, with your cinnamon, but I just decided to do it this way because it was a lot easier for me to stuff the brown sugar into like the slots that are on the bread instead of just having it kind of all clumped together with the butter and just have it on top. I wanted to make sure that I got it inside the bread. So as you can see here, I'm adding cinnamon. Now I'm a huge cinnamon lover, so I added that amount of cinnamon. I would say it's probably 2 tablespoons. I probably used 2 or 3 tablespoons total. Because I did add a little bit more here, which you will see in a second. But I absolutely love cinnamon, and I wanted it to make sure that it was like kind of like a powerful flavor in what I was making. So I added a little bit more there. And then what I did is I just literally stuffed all of the cuts that we made and stuffed it right down into the bread, and to make sure that it got all the way to the bottom of the cut. That way it's going to be flavorful, everything is going to be flavored all the way through, and your bread will taste absolutely amazing. This recipe was the best recipe that I have ever made on my ketogenic journey. It satisfied like my sweet tooth. I don't have a huge sweet tooth, especially now that I've been doing the high protein days. But this was definitely a nice little treat to have. I did take some of this to my coworkers, and they absolutely loved it as well. They couldn't believe how I made the bread. That seems to be a novelty for everybody on like how I make the bread and how easy it is and how low in calories this bread is. So I guarantee you that even your family, if they're not doing keto or the high protein days, that they will even love this as well too. So you're just going to finish with your mixture and make sure that everything is completely full. You can see I'm kind of pulling apart the bread to make sure that I'm getting it in all of the slices that I've made, and just continue doing that until it is completely, all your mixture is all gone and in the bread. And then we are going to top it all off with the remaining amount of butter and just pour that all on top. And that is it. This recipe is so simple. So you're going to want to have your oven on 350 or 325 again, and you're going to want to bake it for about another 10-15 minutes. Leave it in your oven for another 10 minutes with the oven off. That's what I did for the ending, and it turned out absolutely perfect. It wasn't dry or anything. So I thought I'd be extra, special and make a glaze over top, and this turned out amazing. I used 4 tablespoons of the Swerve confectioner's sugar, and I just put in a little tiny bit of heavy whipping cream. I used a little bit at a time because obviously you don't need a lot of liquid in order to make your icing like this. So that's what I started out with, was just a little bit, and then I ended up adding a little bit more of the heavy whipping cream just to make it mix a little bit better so it wasn't too clumpy or anything. And that was my icing. That's all I used for the icing. Like I said, 100% keto friendly, even 100% protein sparing modified fast friendly. Just cut down on the amount of butter, and obviously the amount of heavy whipping cream that I use isn't going to affect your high protein day. So you can make this on either or of your days, and I promise you, you will not be disappointed. So we are just going to drizzle all of that over the whole entire thing. The amount that I made for icing was actually the perfect amount for the whole entire loaf, I guess if you want to call it, but it worked out perfectly. So I just drizzled it. It had cooled off by this time a little bit, like 5-10 minutes out of the oven. I didn't want to put it on too soon that it came out, and I just drizzled it on the whole entire thing, and it was the perfect amount of sweetness. Wasn't too sweet, had enough flavor, and definitely fit your macros. So I'm going to let you know what the macros are quick. Per serving makes 12 servings. Per serving is 52 calories, 5 fat, 0.6 carbs, and 5 protein. I will have that linked down below. That is from the ingredients that I used for my recipe that I have created for this. Make sure you give it a try. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. This was absolutely the best that I've ever tasted. Oh man, you guys, that bread was the best thing that I have ever made, hands down, on my ketogenic journey, which has been going on 2 years now. I love that so much, and it doesn't bother my stomach. It was light, flavorful. Honest to God, it tastes like the real thing, and I promise you, you will still be able to meet all your macros. I have been keeping track of my macros, and I have made this fit on my keto day, but like I said, you can easily omit as much butter as I use to make it a little bit less in order to fit your macros. So make sure you give this recipe a try. Out of all the recipes that I tell you that you need to try, this one is hands down a must. And I guarantee it, if you've been on keto, if you've been trying this protein sparing modified fast bread, that you will have the ingredients in your pantry. So let me know down below if you guys tried it. Let me know if you're going to try it. I would love to hear your guys' feedback on this recipe that I have designed and that I have made. So, and also too, make sure that you hit that red subscribe button. Give this video a like to let me know that you're liking my content. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so YouTube can notify you when I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.